Hello, good evening, guys. I am Zishan Anjum from Kenix Innovations. So, about me, I am a electronics and telecommunication engineer. Passed into 2014, and then I was working with a startup Eduvance for quite for 2 years of time, where I worked on various uh, products targeted towards the education, where I built like remote lab concept there. So like involved in a lot of hardware products over there. Then I moved to and do a startup in the research Sugarland. So I did it for a couple of months. Then I like pulled back and just again joined another startup from IIT Bombay, that is Tennis Innovations. And from last 4 years, I am with Tennis Innovations doing handling product management and handling the Care Mother product at the company. Yeah, this is a brief. I'm in like healthcare industry, and care mother is like mainly working in a pregnancy care domain. So we are working towards making the pregnancy of like mothers like have a happy experience of them. Yeah, positive and happy experience. So today, like we are going to talk about as how to like make your turn your project, like the project you are working on, into a product. So this is the main topic that we are going to discuss today. So may I know what's the audience? So more of the audience is
Uh,
from like college
yes,
and
they
they
are
are
more
working
than
on
students.
projects. Then great. Then because all of you like are working on various projects in your like college from first year, second year, third year, various mini project, major projects. Yes. So let's I'm take it like little more little bit interactive. So can any one of you can like start give me like one two examples like what type of project you do in your college and why you do the projects.
So the question is, what projects are you working on, or would you like to work on?
Yeah,
Like some
and
examples of
why you
some.
want to work on that project? So your motivation for making that project. Yeah.
Sure. So Saswat here tells us that he does project just to find solutions to various problems. Let
Yeah.
me let me give an example. For
Yeah.
example, uh, when the sun goes down, we don't have light. So someone solved the problem by inventing a light bulb. I think that's as simple as it can get.
So when we start working on a project, so we always like we see the problem is too personal. As I put here, so every innovation journey starts with a very personal reason. So on what project you are working on, whatever you are working on, a product or a project, so it must be something personal to you. So like here's an example I've shown, like with the Tom and Jerry. So you always see like Tom and Jerry like teases each other, and each time they find a new and innovative ways to handle those situations. Why? Because the problem is so personal to them. So problem, the problem of Jerry is too personal to him. He always want us see some other ways or some innovative ways to get away from like handle those problems kind of thing. So it always starts with a very personal reason. If you can if other example I can take, so you must know Dashrath Manji, right? So he split the whole mountain into two parts. Why does because of his wife. So it's somewhere that motivation, that energy that comes that you have to put in making that project or a product is come from internally. So you need something more personal, something more motivation from inside. So and if I take another example of Graham Bell, so Graham Bell invented telephone. You all know, like Graham Bell's mother as well as his wife are deaf, so they cannot hear. So then Graham Bell like went to the why they are not able to like like why not able to listen us, and why what's the science behind the listening, what's the science behind the sound. Then he went and how we communicate our sound. So the problem becomes so personal. He went into it and tries to find a solution of it. And then if you see if from a long journey he invented a telephone. So whatever problem you are making, you should make sure that that problem should be like too much personal to you, and yeah, that's where you get your motivation. So now when you know the okay, now this is a problem I want to solve. So what happens then? You start like thinking and like searching websites, start googling, start seeing various YouTube videos. Like the scale of the problem, you are to start seeing it. Look how many people are affecting with this problem. So when you start a problem, so when you come with a problem that start bothering you, so then you start googling it, seeing various YouTube videos, looking for the skill problem. Like if you feel that this is the issue, like if I say if your petrol vehicle on the road is a problem that increases a climate, that increases a pollution, that gives that contributes to global warming. So that's if that problem is like bothering you, then you can see how many people are like like bothered about this. So whatever problem, just see on the scale and how much people are affecting it, affecting due to this particular problem. Then try to pull out various numbers. There you can find easily a lot of number on government websites. So there's a data.gov.in, so you can always go there and you'll find that various stats about certain parameters of the country. You always get those issues. Then that data leads you more like helps you to convince about the problem. And then if the climate is a challenge, then try to see the same problem from various perspectives. So it's necessary to understand the same problem through various lenses. Like if it is a motorbike like industry, then if you are going to make solution, then how it going to affect the drivers, how it going to affect you as a consumer, how it going to affect the government who is like so much dependent on export taxes, the taxes they get from exports, from exporting those cars and vehicles. So there are a lot of other possibilities that are going to affect, and there might be this reason light in somewhere like in any of the spectrum. So you have to go through the each lens to understand the problem in a more deeper way. And when you start the problem, then you should think, okay, now I know the problem, I know the impact, the scale of this problem is so huge. So let's then someone must be doing something about it. So then start finding about the who else in the field are like at least they started doing it or they are solving it in some other way. It's not exact, it must not exactly the same way that you are thinking of. It might be some other way, right? So if you are seeing the education industry, so there is a lot of educational startup comes in these days. And after the as COVID-19 starts, and after COVID-19 there's a huge boom in online learning. So when you are planning to start online learning platform, then you can see like, okay, right now these are the platforms who are providing online learning. Then try to figure it out, like what all features they are doing, giving, and if they are so good, then what's the problem that exists, and why you are like bothering about the problem. So try to map the solution with and try to find a gap between the solution that the current ways of solving the problem and the problem you are seeing. If you able to find the gap, then you are reaching to your like problem statement. You are reaching to the point where you want to define a problem statement. And also you see like whether if there's something problem like climate change or a water problem, like drinking water problem or fresh water problem. So how many people are aware about it? So because if you are trying to like solve some new problem, then awareness of the people for about that issue is also a major thing. Then they will start seeing your product as a solution, rather than they feel like there's no use of such product in current scenario. So you also need where your problem like exists. So if I am from like medical health background, so for putting that little bit context according to what I've said, so I am putting that context into the maternal health care in which I am working on. So when we feel that okay, now the health and mental health, we care about the maternal health, so we should know at what scale this problem exists in our society, in our country, in the whole world. So then we dig deep into the stats, so we get to know that almost 300,000 women die due to the preventable causes of death during pregnancy and childbirth. That means preventable health care, that those mothers can be saved just due to the lack of proper access of medical facility, the quality of the medical care they get during those time, and the cost of the accessing those medical services is quite high. So that's are the reasons that why the so much death happens. And if you see, try to see from India perspective and try to uh, get run some data and get to know that every 5 a pregnant woman dies in India. So the problem now you get to know the level of problem. The killer problem is so huge. So it need really a strong solution, a strong solution, a strong product to address this kind of issues. And then there's a one part. The other part is the child that is inside the mother's womb. So then we figure it out. Okay, what happens with the child? So we get to know the worldwide almost 5.1 million babies are still born or die in the first month of their life. So 5.1 million. So unless you not like see the stat, you always see that this problem might be mine. I also feel like okay, if like some in our family we lost a child during the pregnancy, we feel not much bother about it because it happens only with me. Like it doesn't happen at a scale. When you dig, if that problem start bothering you and you look into details, they get to know this much death happens. And when we dig out the more and we get to know about okay, the main reason of the death of the fetus inside the womb is asphyxia and preterm birth, which can be of course can be prevented if the proper like medical intervention taken at the right time. And if then we like look at the small area, then we try to look at the small area that how that works in that school. Then we look at the Mumbai slums. So we get to the 33 deaths happen per 1,000 births. So this is quite big. If we are in 2020 right now or in 21st century, then if this many death happens, then really we should take concern about it and we should make something that can address this kind of problem. Then as soon as you start thinking about the problem, thinking and you keep searching about the issues, its factors, it's like who are the people who are getting affected by it, how we can improve the life of human. So these all things, if you start thinking in these lines, then that's it. You are an innovator. Like you started your journey as an innovator. So before that, you're just the other human being who sees the problem and try to escape from it or not want to or leave it to for someone else. Okay, why should I bother about climate change? Because it's not I cannot do anything because I'm too small to take a problem and solve it. Why I should go into the like electric cars or something, e-learning, online learning kind of thing. So why should I make some solution out of it? For it, because like we not bother, we take it more grand that we accept those problems. So like we are so used to accept the problems at personal level that we're not bothered about it. As soon as you start bothering about even a rickshaw wala, when you go to auto rickshaw, so you should know like the scale of auto rickshaw that run in a city. In a Mumbai city, almost there are 10 to 12 like auto rickshaws run. So you see that and the pollution that caused by that auto rickshaw. If you make something e-bike kind of thing that is more efficient, that is more in terms of economy, in terms of mileage, then there's a big innovation lie there. So you need to think from all those perspectives, not just a single. So you should start affecting yourself with the problem and start thinking so that you can be an innovator. You can be start thinking about those problems and then only you're able to solve it. Then yeah, now the market study. So you get to know okay, now this is the problem and like this is a skill. So I really and this affected me. So motivation comes from then. Nobody going to tell you like you're like if in your school days like your parents that tell you now do your homework. So there's some other person driving you to do your work. When you relate to the problem within like too much from yourself, then motivation comes from inside. Then you start looking okay, now if I make something solution for this problem, then how our industry is going to accept it. If I'm from medical background, medical devices background, I will always see like if I make this device, then who are going to use it? If it is a mother who is going to use it, if it's a hospital is going to use it, or it's a bigger hospital like big hospital which is having chain like Cloud9 or Shadi hospital, big hospitals can going to use it, or it's a private clinic like Sharma Clinic Center kind of going to use the devices, or a nurse or a health worker, ANM, Ashas who work on field who are going to. So you should see your product. Then you know okay, this problem lies in this much scale. So which industry you are going to target first, and and each industry is going on different paces and different trends. So like hospital is going to much more like going to shift on HMIS systems or more medical health record system. But if you go to a individual clinic, they still work on paper and pen. They give you prescription paper and they do not have any records, medical records. So the industry, as you seeing different industry, they all varies. And so you need to think about like, okay, now this type of problem, like address this kind of industry or this kind of industry. If I go into this kind of this industry, then what are barriers I have to face? Okay, now you have to overcome that barrier. If you go in a public health domain, then you have to go, then you deal with the government, a lot of government personnel. So there's a barrier of like the speed execution of your operations. So if you want to do something, you need to go through a lot of steps for implementing some your solution to a public health domain, because of lot of barriers you face. And when like you start with private hospitals, the doctors are self-motivated, so they take you with them. So this is how you should look. And then you see the potential market. So if I make this, then if I target only the individual clinic, how much individual clinic in this exists in this country, or if I stay with this state or with this city, then how much like uh, how much like potential market first in the size. Like there is it seems that there is 100,000 customers for this market, and the value that I can create it, if 1% of the 100,000 gets converted to a product, then this multiplied by product product cost is going to then this much value lies in this market. Then you analyze the audience, like your customers. Then you understand market needs something else. So if you're going to propose a solution, then they tell you, okay, now this we know, but we are not we have this all problem, and if you address this for us, this is really helpful for us. And when you get to know, okay, this is a very small problem that I'm thinking of, if you go and talk to them, you get to know, okay, there's a big other problem they are struggling with. If you see from other politicians, the digitization of their health records is just a problem. When you go there, they can totally see, okay, now the way the things are running in the market is quite different. So you need to come up with some technological solution. So with this all knowledge you get from market study, and of course, if you're working, like if you're working on a problem that is already solved by someone in some different way, then must be a competition between you and that other company, other product. So you need to understand the product also, so you can put some competitive advantage about it. If that product gives the certain feature XYZ, then you should come up with the X plus one, Y plus one, and Z plus one other features with your product. So you're always ahead of your competition. Then you will create your market for your product. And the timing of the product, and timing of the product is really matter of thing, because if you see the Apple Pen, right? They launched so early, this is not accepted in the market, but Samsung launched after that. So launching of a product is at the right time is very necessary. When the market needs you something, you must be working on something futuristic product. So you need to know, like, okay, this is a problem, but my market is not ready for accept this kind of product right now. So you have to wait for the right time to launch your product. Like if that's a basic example. If you see the online scenario, the webinars that we are talking, and the online lot of classes happening on through the on the online platforms. If you tell someone, okay, come, let's join a class on Zoom for like if you 6 months earlier, then they will not going to show your interest. Like, okay, why I should go attend a class on Zoom? Let's go to classroom, attend a classroom for your study. But now that if someone lost that product at that time, then it would fail. But if you say Skype failed because of that's not the right time. But Zoom entered at the right time during this COVID-19 situation, is scaled and it's boomed, like it's get a very good market. So right on the product is very necessary. Now, for just putting context with our maternal healthcare. So when we started and we tried to market survey, so we get to know when we calculate the potential market for prenatal care, that during the pregnancy we come to know the 100,000 crore market going to be going to for in the prenatal care for in next 5 years. If you take 1% of it, then it's very big number. So there's a huge market for it, and how are you going to distribute it? So there are 35,000 gynecologists, 3 lakhs, 300,000 physicians, 150,000 health centers are there in India, and 1 million women health workers who work on ground, nurses, health workers, and almost 30 million pregnancies happens in India every year. So you can see the market that is ready for your product. Then that gives you, okay, now the assurance that on which problem you are working on is good to solve, and it's the need of it's the right need of the market. It's the right time to give your product in the hand of customers. Then you start working on it, and yeah, taking it ahead to the next step. Then after market survey, you get to know what are the needs of the customer. So might be, so I just put some examples. So when you go on field, you can talk to a customer, then you get to know, okay, the affordability of certain product is really going to play a big role. If you say about like smartphones 5-6 years before, so the premium smartphone comes in a very high range. So now that premium features is so much affordable that you can get in 10,000 rupees, you can go to those kind of features. So they identify the need. If we make this feature in affordable manner, then there's a huge market for us. And I might play their game. So if Samsung, or if you go to Motorola or Samsung, like in 2012 and 13, 14, so they are put in premium phones, but the cost of the premium phones is too high. Then MI came into play, and they bring the smartphones at so cheap prices with the same almost comparable features. So they played with affordability. So that is they came there. And in terms of if you talk about electric cars, they identify the need of high efficient. The system needs a high efficient system. So if you run like with a investing 1 liter of a petrol, having this much rupees, you run this much kilometer. If you make something which is electric or something, that efficient your performance as a mileage. So that, of course, that's a need that you identified while solving a problem. If it's the environment friendly, the solution that is right now in the market is not environment friendly. You might, or in terms of the quality of education, that like if you see in the cities, there's a good quality of education that a student will get. But if you see in rural area or in a very like remote village, the quality of education degrades. So if you are in online education or something education, you must think like, okay, now if I want to work in like so there's a really need in the last mile reach of the education quality. So there's a gap that I can solve with my product, with my. So it's necessary to like pull out various blocks of the needs, like what all features or what all thing that it's needed in the product. So pull out those puzzles. And after pulling it, put it all together and define your problem statement. So it's very necessary to define. So define your problem statement, which of as much as detail you can, but be specific. Because if you want to like broaden your, if you start like broaden your, at start with broadening the horizon of the problem statement, then it is hard to solve. So it's better to first of all you start with a specific problem statement, then you like add more features, and like, so it's really necessary to like stick to your core feature or a core problem statement, and as specific as possible, and go detailing in that specifics. Yeah, that's necessary. So it's now you have like you define the policy. Now it's the defining the policy statement is very necessary. So it gives you belief that you are working on a right product, and this is the real problem statement that I'm going to solve, because I've already verified through this much market study or seeing the stats. So it's a really problem that exists today in our society. So let's start it. If you convince yourself, then believe me, you can convince anyone, like anyone in the world. So just believe yourself, that just make sure you believe on your instincts, you believe on your problem statement, then you can convince anyone. Then you start building those things from scratch at the prototype phase. So for scratch, is very essential to understand your users. So best thing is go out, talk to your customer directly. So if you are making something for school, go talk to the teachers, talk to the principal, talk to various schools, students, like how they try to interview them, try to read their behavior, try to read what they are currently like going, in which direction they are going, what they want in the future education system. Or if they're not able to tell that, then ask them what the thing that is troubling you, why you're not like doing that thing efficiently, what's just share your problems. So when they start talking their problem, So you get to know, then you keep like, then you give more perspective of the problem statement in more details, so that you can work on it. And you can do it through like in interviews, through field visits, through survey your users. And by getting those much ideas and data from the field, you start making the user persona is something like that's a ideal way of saying that, okay, to define your customers, so you can start working on it. So this is user persona, that this a persona belongs to a student who is a 10-year-old, like studies in standard 5, and that he's struggling with the learning mathematics. So why they so you can interview, you can always ask why they like struggling to like learning mathematics, and how much the student in his class is a struggle with learning mathematics. Then you understand those stats. Then go back to the teacher, then ask how they teach you. Then they can start. Then you then automatically there is the like there's a link starts between your mind. So you now you are linking starts. So the one problem statement, this every different problem statement start linking with each other. So you get to know, okay, this is how this whole problem is integrated, and now you get to know how you going to solve it. So understand their pattern and empathize with them. So empathize means like putting yourself into their shoes. So if you are going to understand user, going to like user research, user survey, go talk to them and try to behave like them, put yourself into their shoes, and then see the problem statement. So you get to know more about it, about the more emotional parameters also. When you get to know about, yeah, this, then you start making it, right? So, and for when you start developing some solution, some product, then the best couple is the design engineering. So when you combine the design, a good design with a good engineering, then you get a marvelous product. So whatever like product you see today, see in this world is so best product you can see in terms of like computing. So I've like MacBook is the best like laptop that someone have used, because of the design of the each app, because of the hardware, the how MacBook looks, how it feels, and how much battery backup the MacBook gives, how much fast it is without lag, and how much like how the good application runs on it. And it also supports the engineering factors, the how much fast the processor, how much fast you can like application can run, and how much the bandwidth and the codes. So if you go into engineering details, you get to know when the design and engineering both meets together, then only you can come up with a better product. I can say the best product in the market comes with the design and engineering. So you need to think on both parameters to make your prototype. At the same time, you make your tech stack. As at the same time, you start making wireframes, making UI design. Try to mock test those UI design with various users. Then put that design into work with a mobile app. If you're making a mobile app, then you can give it to your like computer coders. They can make that web pages or apps that can solve that issue. So it both goes hand in hand for a better product. So never underestimate engineering over design or design over engineering. Both are equally important, and both are important for the best product. Then you come up with the for first like you worked on those both things. Then you come with the first product, which looks something like this: a lot of wires, a wire thing. Then you keep iterating the products. Then what comes to keep iteration. So now you test your POC. Okay, now I think that this product work in a this certain way, and this solve this problem. Now you satisfied. Okay, now the product I made is like working this way that I thought before, and it's solving my this problem. Now give it the product to the first set of users, which we know as pilot run, pilot study, or yeah. So give it for pilot study. See like how users are using it. Take their feedback and work on it. So for the feedback of initial users are very necessary. They help you to make the better product and the better product for the market. So always get in touch with for your first set of customers, understand them, go shadow them, or like be with them for 1-2 days and see how, just observe how they are using your product. So you get to know about you also get to know about, okay, I thought like if I put the button this way, then they will feel quite easy about it. But when I see and observe my user for using this app, then I see, okay, no, this button I thought is not really working in that way that I thought. that's the thought of. So we need to change it, because the way that user work or perform in this way, so we need to little bit change the button in this way, or some in hardware there's some other feature we need to like toggle this or that way. This way, this iteration cycle is infinite cycle. You keep working on it to take feedback. You validate the deployment, you work on it, and ship the updated product to the customer. Again, go there, and like seeking and keep seeking the feedback that helps you that only way to improve your product over time. No one builds a masterpiece in a one stroke. So you have to keep iterating. You have to keep asking users. You have to keep thinking on how you can improve, how you can like improve your product further. Yeah, then as soon as like you keep working after 5-6 iteration, then you can see, okay, the product I have made in the first prototype is really, that's the product I have made, okay, because I made this kind of product as a final product. So but this is how the things evolve. This might take 2-3 years or 4-5 years for this kind of shift from a prototype to a real product that now it is existent in the world. So now your product is ready. Now it's going to offer the sale. Now it's time to make money. So let's start. That's the quite interesting part of me. Like, okay, that's where like everybody get excited about it. Yeah, now my all hard work I put in last 2-3 years is going to give me some good returns. So the price of your product is quite interesting. So when you're pricing a product, there's a very like you should be very thought through about the pricing, because you are giving this much features, and how your competitors are like placing their product at which pricing level they are going to pitch their product. If you are giving like more features than them, you can obviously like put your product a little bit higher than that. If you're a little bit comparable with the other features, and you want to sometimes penetrates into the market, you have to keep initial like flat 60% off kind of features for initial 100 users kind of thing. So setting your pricing for first users is quite different game, and for the next scale, the pricing is quite a different game. So pricing very much during the product life cycle. For initial, is quite different. For when you see the case of Ola and Uber, they start giving free rides for a half of for 6 months to almost 1 year. They give a free rides to us just because we are not addicted to the to the cab culture where we book a cab through app. So they start giving the free rides. So when you addicted, so they've set pricing for zero for that time, because they want to acquire. For at that time, their major focus is to acquire customers. Then they acquire customer, they set their pricing, and now they both Ola and Uber are quite struggling to keep their pricing as comparable with each other, because there's a huge competition between Ola and Uber in Indian market. So pricing plays a very important role. And now when you're done with the product, it's a good time to invest heavily in the marketing and sales, because people will only like purchase your product when they know about it. So and knowing, you have to market your product well on social media platforms, or like putting out there, or word of mouth, or doing some conferences, or publishing your putting your ads. So this all helps. So it's a really good time to, because if you late in this and then you lose your market, because someone like behind you is making this is almost making the same product, or might be some with some cool features. So it's better to enter into market as early as you can, so you can capture initial market. If you capture initial market, initial movement in a market is very good for the sustenance of the product for a long time, and the product only sustains when you give the best service to your customers. Customers always rely on your service. It's not just one-time relation that you sell the product and the product fails and you're not able to like listen to your customers. Then it's hard to sustain in this competitive environment. So keeping your service to the best of your marks is really helpful. You can always see, like, when you're using a product or service, when you feel a problem, you contact a customer care, and those who are hard to reach their customer service, you not like want to like use their products, because if you face some problem, how are you going to solve it? Really, you get reluctant over adoption of that product. So it's necessary to keep a service at the best parameters, and keep tracking users' behavior, user pattern, how they use it, so you can get to know. Now, like the Instagram like reads users in pattern, user behavior, and improve their product over time. That helps them to ship the more advanced and better version of product, which increase the more engagement of user. So it's always necessary to like when you release the product out for the market, you keep track of like users, keep track of pattern that how use it, because you make something that you believe like people are going to use a certain word. It's not going to happen in like most of the cases. People use it in their way. So you need to keep track of those patterns. And yeah, and next thing is to plan your product. It's necessary to when you get success in a smaller pilot or in a small geography, then it's better to like scale your product to get the product to the next level. It's the only way that you can sustain this competitive world. Within whole, so this is the journey that from ideating of a problem statement to making a solution over it with your team, and then you're putting the product out of sale. Then you keep iterating your product, building your product. During this whole journey, you create various priceless assets. That the topmost priceless asset is your team. So your team is the priceless with which you have joined, with which people have you joined you for in this journey. So because the thing that you thought is only possible because of the whole efforts of the whole team. So never underestimate the power of a team behind a successful product. Uh, and it's well said, like if you take care of your team, they will take care of your customers. So you have to not think much about your customers. uh, just take care of your team, and they will, and the all thing is just all thing is are good to go. Yeah. And other thing, you can your intellectual property, that is your product that you create over time, that knowledge of the product you built over time, that helps you to keep innovating on that parameter, and your customers base that you, then you can from that chain you can sell up, you can push your next product, next feature. So the customer base is very important. So keep like try to maintain those things, because these are your assets. And when you create those things, these all things, then during this whole like process, it helps you to build your vision and mission. So first product might be you're not much sure about your vision and mission. When you start selling a product, then you get to know, okay, now this is the one thing that I want to do, and this is the mission of my company. So I really want to solve climate change issue. I really want to solve. I really want to give a better experience of pregnancy to every mother. So these kind of mission that you are on. So then mission help you to align your future product, future feature, or making your decision quite fast. So because if this feature aligned to my mission, then good to go. Let's go jump on this mission, make this feature and build our ship our next product or next big feature into the product. And thank you.
Awesome. That pretty much covered a lot of product cycle that we usually go through. So we already have a bunch of questions, Zishan.
So the first question is from Nandan Singh. So, what is the impact of digital marketing due to this COVID-19 pandemic, and how it's going to transform the way businesses are running now, and how to get into digital marketing?
So digital marketing is like for in this COVID-19 situation, it really like spikes up. The lot of people like investing their marketing. They're investing heavily in digital marketing, because if you put some ad on a road, so nobody going outside to read those ads. So right now it's a high time to invest or learn the digital marketing skills, because of the marketing, the whole market shift towards the online, and the consumer going to spending more time with the online platforms. So it's better to put your efforts on the digital marketing, and it's going to boom in this like during this COVID-19 period and after this also. And for getting to digital marketing, of course, there's a lot of
Right.
courses out there. There are a lot of courses out there in the market on Udemy and Coursera. You can take it, and the basic of marketing is you should know like how to tell about your product to your like customers. How to reach your customers is the key feature of, like, if you want to sell something, who are my customers, and then you try to reach those customers through the various mediums, through either go through the Facebook or emailers, or through Instagram ads, and how much to invest to Instagram ad, how much invest to, so which like then you can observe analyze the stats of the traffic that we are getting on Instagram or on Facebook, so you can decide on like where to invest. And for learning, there are a lot of like courses on Coursera and Udemy that you can take. Yeah.
So we have another question from Shashwat. So, how can a student move from its project or prototype to product? Just an example, we always make our prototype using Arduino, but that's not industry ready. So, how to make those products industry ready or prototypes industry ready?
you start making a hardware product, of course you should start with always where you, because that's easy to start and fast of making prototypes. So it's good to start with Arduino, make your first prototype Arduino, just confirm that your the thing that you're wanted to working on, the just prove your concept that this is the solution you want to like make, and are you able to achieve that much accuracy or that much speed. Or so it's good to start with Arduino as a prototype. When you scale in a product, then you see there are a lot of other things that came into play, and the cost, because if you're going to scale you cannot put Arduino there, because of Arduino is good for prototyping. When you going to make a product, you have lot of other features came into play. That's the power, if the power efficiency and the speed, execution speed of the execution speed. This is all going to like going to affect your product. So it depends. Like if you're making some product that not need that much fast application, or like if you're making something like automatic street lights that works on a solar system, then there if you not want to like, is that not need hard high processing speed or something, then you can use the Arduino, of course. So Arduino is open source, you can always use in a product, but it's not that you decide that you want to switch now to a core like Maxim processor or a controller, not an Arduino. It's an application that takes you to that platform, mainly because you feel okay, now I want this much speed because the data that I'm getting through I2 device is quite high, and because you're not going to compromise with the quality of the problem statement you are solving, then you have to switch for the speed to some other controller that or an ARM controller that gives you high better speed, and you are making some standard solution which runs on a battery. If you run Arduino, that battery lasts in 1 month or 2 months. But then there's a challenge. If you're making a product, you must think how more and more I can give I can power a device. If it is going to run on a CMOS battery, then it always go on ARM processor for making a product. This is features you are going to sell. So automatically your whole product going to shift to on a industry based industry standard components. So you're not going to stick with Arduino. So it drives you. That industry drives you. Not need to like figure it out what to use. You automatically indeed doing that. We also start with Arduino, and now we are using very industry grade chips because when you talk about product, so accuracy and performance and remains at the top level. So no compromise with that.
Thank you, Joshan, for answering this. But yes, I want to just add on one thing.
Yeah.
So yes, Shashwat, the things are like that. It's not always mandatory, and there is nothing. Nowhere is written Arduino is not for industry. It just depends upon the product that you are manufacturing. Okay, like suppose in the simply I am saying you just want to make a product in which you will push one button and one light will turn on. So why you need a high-end controller for that? Arduino never said you can't use me in any other industrial prototypes. You can use that, right? So stories has been changed now, and yes, Arduino is very easy to use. So you can like over the minutes you can make one program or make one project, right?
It's good to test and prototype, but
yes,
it automatically take you to the industry grade.
Exactly. So coming on to the next question, it's from Faizan Anju. So what are the initial steps for start a brand to be different from others in the light of digital marketing?
So if you're talking about be different, so you must be talking about the competitions. Like if you're solving a problem or you're enabling something, the same set of like other company or other brand is also having the same product in the same lines, not exactly the same, but in the same lines. So putting you different is like what? So how you are like to like show your features, the thing you are providing in a more highlighted way, or making it a more preferable that like if someone is showing this X feature and you have also the X feature, then it's the art of like putting the X at is the one this X that you not like compromise to lose. So that's how you put it. It's mainly the how you put the content out there in the for the people. So if you put in a most innovative way, and it must be engaging. So you can like differ from them in terms of engagement. You can put your like advertisement so that it engages most. So if you can see that various other brands like McD or something, you see they when they put their advertisement for McDonald's chip, McDonald's French fries, they make it as a sometimes they make it as a footpath, a zebra crossing kind of thing, or a fort kind of thing. So they can see like how you engage and how you can relate the same product with your current life. So that's how you make it more how you can put yourself differently from other competitors by putting more context to the customer rather than just saying that this thing I do, this is just putting, and you can put in this way like this is, and because you need this, and at this time you need this kind of things, let's use our product. This how is the art of putting the things out there for your consumers. Yes.
All right. So, thank you very much, Ishan, for taking this question. So, yes, another question we have from Shantanu Sinha, sir. So, due to huge competition in the marketing scenario, pricing is a huge factor. Don't you think like low pricing to reach customers sometimes play with the quality of the product?
So if you play with the quality of product, then you are not going to sustain long. So like market will automatically reject you. So like compromise the quality is not going to work in a long run. If you just want to play a small game, then of course you can make money in terms of like compromise the quality. But if you really want to play a huge game, then you have to be stick with quality, and you have to work on the technology to take your price lower. So it's more, so quality remains the priority. If you see the example of Apple, they never compromise with their quality, because people stick with the Apple like iPhones or MacBook because of the quality. So quality,
Right.
because you always, you with the product, you always gonna play a long game. It's not T20, it's a test match. So you stick with the quality.
So, continuing the same question, like another thing he is also asking, which is viable according to you, sir, and like make a prototype, patent it, or directly jump into the product development without spending capital on patenting.
So patenting is very important factor when you develop something novel innovation. So there are two types of innovation happens, like something that is already created and patented by some other person. You want to create something in the same line, then you just want to market it and like went to the market with a different brand name and like market it. But when you're really talking about the patent, the novel innovation that you have created from a scratch and something, there's no such competition out there, then you should patent it. But patent, if you see the patent, so it will not it will not, it's a long process. It will take almost 6 months, almost one and a half year, almost 1 year to file a patent in the industry. It's a long game. It's not going to hamper your day-to-day activity of product development. So you can start with prototype, jump into the product development, do your own designing, product research, product marketing, start like pilot and everything, and parallelly you can work on your patents. As soon as you are done with your first prototype and proof of concept, that you know that I want to make a street light system and it works now. So if I use this much technology and this way it works now, then at that time you can start working on your patent. And at the same time you can keep working on product development, because patent is going to take a one and a half year, not say, because the Indian patent list patent like body is where it works very really slow, so it take time. So it's not going to hamper your product development. You should not wait for it.
So, yes, Santhu sir, so you can start parallelly with prototyping and patenting, and then once your testing and everything is done, you can jump into the product stage. Okay.
But patenting is necessary. When you scale, then your products getting noticed by the people out there. Right now, you're a small company. Like most of the people are not noticing you. But when you are out there in market and almost like 100,000 people are using your product, at that time, people will notice whether you patent the technology or not, where they copy or not. So at the time you reach that much, then there's a good time that will take from like starting a product from scratch to selling 100,000 product. At that time, you can always done with your patent. So yeah,
Right.
starting will not bother you much.
So, let's coming up to the next. So, next question we have from Sashwat again. So, what would be the main focus of the product maker that he should consider before releasing the product to market?
So your main focus the product maker that you should consider before releasing the product to the market. So it's a first thing, the timing of the product release. So if you feel that this product is a need of today, or is it a good time to like launch your product? So that's the main thing. The main point is the market, and and how you want, in which market you are going to target. So it's very necessary. Like, do you want to target, because for early customers are really important, and it will like, then they will give you the much learning that your next set of customers going to give you. So for early product, I'm talking about in terms of early product. When you start marketing a product where like you get easily, where you can communicate easily, where you can travel easily, where you can get a good feedback very easily, because at that time the feedback really matters the most for initial set of customers. So think in those lines.
All right. So I did have a few questions in my mind. So can you tell us about specific to your healthcare industry? Can you tell us something about the life cycle of your product? Uh, what time it took to develop it, deliver it, probably update it and deliver it again? And so what is the average product life cycle?
So like, so if we talk particularly in terms of healthcare industry, so the product release in healthcare industry is quite long in compared with the other industries, because of the lot of validation and and the health compliances that goes with it, because your device is going to interact with a human, and it's going to interact with the human, and it's their life. So there are a lot of validation and studies you have to go through. So you have to test, you have to like validate your device with a lot of samples. You have to get a CDSO, a medical device board in India, CDSCO, that regulates the quality of device in the market. So you have to get certification from that CDSCO to release the product in the market. They will give you you give a certificate like whether your product good to go on market or not, and you need to deal with a lot of ethical committee in the hospitals, because they will guide you. Okay, now is your product is ready to be tested and tried on a live patient, on a live human, then they give you a certificate. Then this ethical validation takes a lot of time in the health industry, because each validation, for when the first time you do the validation, you get a lot of feedbacks, and you get to know a lot of shortcomings with the product, and go and work on again, come with the validation.
So there's a lot of back and forth between the compliance department and the
compliance and the validation. You keep once your device is 2-3 iterations, then your device is validated with the patient. Now it is good accuracy with the gold accuracy compared with the gold standard in terms of medical devices. Then you go in the market. Then you get the validation certificate. Then you get the CDSU certificate. Then you get the CE marking if you want to work in India, and if you want to give market, US FDA, US government. So there's a lot of certification and these things go in terms of medical field.
Is there a lot of in terms of technology in healthcare? How close have we gotten to implementing artificial intelligence or machine learning sort of thing for diagnosis or therapy or any of those? Or have you seen any products with those, or are you working on something like that yourself? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so medical industry is adopting the AI and machine learning technology with time in terms of diagnosis. So mainly it is so heavily it is using in the diagnostics field, because because there's a certain set of it is a machine learning problem. So with diagnostic, we have a certain set of knowledge, then we want to make conclusion out of it. So the machine learning is really helpful. So we are also working on a machine learning technology. So right now we have a device named as PhysioSense that we have developed in last 2 years. So that device is used for getting the fetal heart rate pattern over a period of time. That help doctors to get to know about the wellness of fetus in the fetus in the mother's womb. So that graph gives you doctor a lot of insights, and there are a lot of parameters that associated with that graph especially. So that graph gives you a basal heart rate or something, a lot of other parameters. So we are putting our machine learning algorithm in that analyzing that graph. So that gives doctors automatically certain that values, that digital values, quantifiable values of that graph. So that helps doctors, and this mainly helps the nurses who are on field. So nurses might be not much equipped with the reading of those complicated medical graphs. So if we put machine learning algorithm with a lot of complex data sets, and we able to bring the numerical values or quantitative data that doctors are seeing and show it directly in terms of whether it's a good graph or a bad graph to the nurses, then they are very then they are very good to know about it. So now they can decide by their own without much dependence or on the doctors, and they can take the decisions there. So this helps really providing us the last mile healthcare in the industry. So we provide a last mile healthcare with the help of health workers and with the help of health workers, and we enable health workers to use our technology, which enabled machine learning to get decide. So we crunch those numbers, so health data, and we just tell nurse in terms of whether it's a good data or a bad data, or whether mother is in a good condition or it's a moderate condition or a severe condition. So nurse now can take decision. So nurse is not now going, nurse is not or health worker is not going to like put her mind, okay, if value is between this and this, and the heartbeat is fluctuating this way, and the graph, if we analyze graph and this giving this much parameter, so what does it mean? So machine learning will tell you this.
So machine learning is sort of a support and not like a real decider in terms of healthcare. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yes, because it depends on the criticalness of factor. If you are dealing with a too much critical thing, so it's just an enabler to the doctor, so he can decide in a faster way, and doctor
Right.
can decide, because only this one medical value is not going to decide the patient condition. A lot of the past medical history or what
So
is
let
the
me,
condition.
right.
So this all like influences the doctor's decision. So it depends on the criticalness of the application that for which you are using your machine learning algorithm. If the criticalness is
Fair
critical
enough.
more, then you can use it for, you can fully dependent on machine learning parameters.
Let me just add on to that. Let me add on. So one last follow up on that. The whole, the new situation that we are, developing as we speak. Uh, don't you think a lot of self-care devices will eventually surface? A lot of devices that will enable the patients to self-diagnose and sort of, a lot of blood pressure monitor, diabetes monitor, and all of those things are already in the market. And I think with time, the cost will also go down and the affordability will also increase. So a lot of self-care devices will surface in the market and people will start buying those things. So coupled with artificial intelligence, do you think that's a threat to, a lot of false positives could surface, a lot of remote diagnosis can go wrong. What's your take on that? Do you think that happening anytime soon, or do you think that a real human being is going to stick around the healthcare process for a long time?
So the industry like the whole medical industry is shifting towards the personalized care, and to the personalized care and the home care, and towards the point of care devices, where you have devices at your home. You can diagnose with your health condition with your device, and the device gives you insight about your health. But if you see, those parameters are not that much critical to your to your health. It mainly depends upon the criticalness of the things. So when you see, is something that is comes in emergency healthcare services, like when you got a heart attack, you cannot depend upon a POC device to give you feedback whether it's a real heart attack or so. So you need to rush at that condition. So industries adopted like whole customer segment or medical fraternities like adapting the POC devices or self-access devices in terms of less critical parameters. Because for less critical parameters, you not need to always check our doctors, because that now the devices are so much user friendly, and the technology is so much updated. So you can do the test at home, and you can get the all graphs and all insights through machine learning and AI. When you put, if you want to analyze your pattern of heart rate beat or pattern of your BP machine, so it will tell you, alarm you time. Because if your BP machine raised for like 140, you're not going to affect much with the heart. I mean, so you can still have a one day time to talk to your doctor, because
Right.
it's not some critical parameter. So that type of device, but it is very important to keep a track of it. Previously, you not know what's your BP, blood pressure on a regular basis, but now due to the boom in the personal care devices, now you have a track of your health, basic parameters, which helps doctor to take insights. Okay, now it's exponentially increases from last 10 days, so it's need that there's something that is going wrong with your body, and now you can take care of it, and you can act on it within like with your time. So it's help doctor to get, and now doctor can put your analysis on basis of a huge data that doctor have in terms of getting insights about the patient's health. At the same time, this healthcare parameters are not that much critical that can affect our life. It's not a life threat, you can say. So I just want to say one thing to all my colleagues and like my all the people who are out there. So just keep innovating, keep making products, because there's a high time that this world needs innovation in every field. So wherever you see a lot of scope, a lot of opportunity to do something, and yeah, and try to like feel the problem. Start the problems, start feeling and seeing the problem. Do not ignore it, because if you start seeing it, you will like overwhelmed with the problem, how much problem you have. Just like admire your problem and innovate and be innovative. Yeah.